me inside. But I didn't allow the border inside to affect my service to God, to affect what I was doing for the Lord. And then the Lord spoke to me. He said, those quiet plans you have for me and for my kingdom, he said, even if you don't ever do them, I will reward you for them. For even thinking that you are going to do them. For even planning that you are going to do them. Even if you don't ever get to do them, I will reward you as if you have done them. That was the day I knew that planning to do things, you have done it as far as God is concerned. He said, I will reward them. Where many of us have issues is, we don't want to sacrifice our desires for the desires of God when there's a conflict of desires. We don't want our own plans to become alternative for God when our plans and the plans of God do not marry. Let me say one more time. Many times, your plans and God's plans are going to be compatible. Perfectly compatible. That's when you glide into things. You do things and you are happy about them. No dream, no revelation. Nothing is coming from the altar against what you are doing. You don't be gliding and gliding out. But when you come to junction where your good plans, your harmless plans are not in line with the plan of God, you will know. There will be tuggings inside. There will be intuitions all around your heart. And for those who have real fear for God, they will stop. If they were running to do something before, they will pause and seek the face of God again. Lord, something tells me that there's something about this thing you don't like. And then they can tell you, leave it, do this. Not that what you want to do is bad, but there is something more urgent in God's plan than that. And then you leave it and come here. A time is coming. God is going to take care of that desire. He's going to bring that plan to pass. But he will make it easy. And then you look back and know that you have not been a loser. One of the things that put many of us under tension is that when we sacrifice our will for the will of God, when we push our desires down for God's desires, you feel like a loser. You look like a loser. And unfortunately, this may not happen for 6 months. It may not be for 1 year. It may linger like that for 5 years. And then you are asking yourself questions. What do I have to gain for this? When you get back home, read Psalm 73. Okay, let's read it. On Sunday, we do justice to that chapter. But for today, let's just read through. Psalm 73. You look around and you are wondering, I have sacrificed this. I have sacrificed that. I have pushed my plans aside. I have pushed this one aside. I have honored the Lord here. What do I have to show for it? And then those who went after their own desires, which has become lost at the expense of God's desires. Those who follow their own plans and left God's plans, they are doing well. Their ambitions are giving birth to something they can show to the world. And then there you are. You left the good and you chose the divine. You left the wonderful and you went with the supernatural. And there you are. 4 or 5 years, there is nothing coming from God in form of a blessing, in form of payback. And then your heart begins to shift. Then lust begins to well up. The desire to go after the things you left because of the purpose of God will begin to well up. You start talking. The devil will start talking to you. Satan will start whispering to you. Can you see yourself? Do you see your life? What have you gained here? Let me quickly chip in this before I read that chapter. There is nothing you do in a bid to honor God that God will not respect. Everything you do because you want to honor God, God respects it. And he will note it. That's why there are books in heaven where things are written down. That's what they call memorial. The angel told Cornelius in Acts of the Apostles, he said, your prayers and your givings have ascended to God for a memorial. They opened the diary for him. You have a diary in heaven. But the unfortunate thing is, what is in your diary? For many of us, our diaries are empty. There are no decisions, there are no plans of yours that you have sacrificed because of the plan of God. Your memorial in heaven is blank. Truly, God is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart. But as for me, my feet were almost gone. My steps had well gotten near sleeping. Can you shift to the other version for simpler English? Good. But as for me, my feet almost slipped, my steps nearly went astray. For I envied the arrogant. I saw the prosperity of the wicked. They have an easy time until they die, and their bodies are well fed, and we are fasting. They are not in trouble like us. They are not afflicted like most people. Therefore, pride is their necklace, and violence covers them like a garment. Their eyes bulge out from fatness. The imaginations of their hearts run wild. They mock and they speak maliciously. They arrogantly threaten oppression. They become proud and strong. They set their mouth against heaven, and their tongue struts across the earth. They speak one statement, it goes viral. And you that you are speaking from the word of God is not going viral. Their tongue struts across the earth. Therefore, his people turn to them. Leave that one there. Therefore, the people of God will turn to these people. Because they feel he's doing it. He has been doing it for 40 years and there's no repercussion. He has been doing it for 30 years. He's not getting repercussion. Because of the judgment. There's no judgment anywhere. Then stylishly, you turn away from the path of God and follow the ways of the world. Therefore, his people, let me read again, verse 10. Therefore, his people turn to these wicked ones and drink in their overflowing waters. Listen, people of God. Even if where God put you becomes dry, die there. Than going to drink water in the stream that belongs to Satan. It is better to die following God's desires than live following your own. Therefore, his people turn to them and drink in the overflowing waters. 11. Move on. They say, how can God know? Does the Most High know everything? If he knows the wickedness of this man, even though he has not killed anyone, but the way he has been cutting corners, the way he has been passionate, beating it here and there, look at his life. His life is beautiful. And we following God, look at our lives. His life is 100 times better than our own. Then suddenly, God's people will now take unbelievers as their role model. God's people will now take unbelievers as their standard. Suddenly, human beings will become our point of worship. We may not come to church on Sunday and say glory to Celine Dion, but in your lifestyle, that's the person you are giving glory to. That's the pattern you are following. They say, how can God know? If he knows, he should have seen what that guy is doing. If he knows, that lady should not have had a settled life like that. I know her when I was in school. She was changing boyfriend like changing a pad. Look at her life. She's happily married. Her husband is a multi-millionaire. She's riding the kind of car she likes. Look at me, holy for the Lord. Virginity 35. What do I have to show? In a short while, you will see that there is more to life than accumulating wealth. That there is more to life than achieving great things. That there is more to life than greatness. Greatness is not the reason you are here. When God created Adam and Eve, greatness was not in the equation. It is our human vocabulary that brought in all of these things that the enemy has suddenly turned to gods before us. Success, greatness, achieving great things. All of these things suddenly they have become our lust at the expense of God. When God created man, the only aspiration and expectation of man was to see God. Longing that the Lord was going to come in the cool of the day. That was his only aspiration. That was his only expectation. But now, everything has turned upside down. Because those walking on the right path seem not to have things to show. And we are allowing the flesh to control our lives. Because we have taken our gaze from God. God is eternal. Those who fix their eyes on him, they will see him after death. Those who put their desires along the patterns of God, they will see God after death. They will live with him in eternity. Those who take their gaze away from him, the likelihood is they may not see him when they die. They say, how can God know? Does the Most High know? If he knows, he should have done something about that girl. He should have done something about that boy. The Most High is blind. God is not judging anybody. Move on, sir. Look at them, the wicked. They are always at ease and they increase their wealth. Did I purify my heart and wash my hands in innocence for nothing? Leave it there for now. Have I been fasting and praying for nothing? Why am I holy? Why am I following God? If those who hate God are doing better, if those who don't love God are doing, what am I following God for? In the heart of many of us now, that's a question there. As much as you are not backing out completely, but these questions have taken the center stage in your heart. You are asking questions. Why am I fasting? And non-believers are doing better. What's the use of the fasting? What's the use of my prayers? Why am I separating myself? Why am I holy? For what? For what? I've been a virgin till I got married. Here am I barren. 5 years in marriage, I have no child. Look at the young lady who had 4 abortions when we were in school. She has had 5 children. And then you start comparing, forgetting that this world is just a passage. Every passing day, passing week, passing months, ephemeral things are taking the center stage. There is a quiet turning by the devil of things, and God is gradually being turned from the center, and other things are gradually taking the center stage. Look at when all this dresses started. This is how the thing creep into the church, little by little and little by little. It does not come at once. The devil invade the church gradually. It does not rush. It does not rush. There was a time when you see a Christian, you will know this is a Christian. Gradually, dressing to leave cleavage open started gradually. There was a time if you do that, they will say, demon, seducer. Now it has become the norm. Go on the internet, you will see mama, pastors' wives. Their 3/4 breast is outside. It's fashion now. It started gradually. Gradually. This morning I dropped my children and I was driving to the office and I saw public secondary school students. Their skirts were here. Public schools. When I was in school, your skirt must reach 3/4. The thing started gradually. Now micro mini is in church. It is the norm. Nobody is complaining anymore. Why? It has become normal. It started gradually. Infiltration, that's the word for it. Gradually. 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 They asked an associate pastor. He was pastoring a branch of their ministry's mission. He was sleeping with girls. Not every day. But you know, when a pastor gets to a point where he sleeps with somebody who is not his wife once in a month, he gets over it. Next month again, he can sleep with another person. Initially, nobody knew. After a while, people very close to him knew. And then one of them started doing what pastor was doing. He believed that if pastor can do it, I can do it. Then the other one asked the pastor, excuse me, sir, I'm sorry. I noticed that you have, so I'm sorry if I am crossing my boundary, but I want to learn. You know what the pastor told him? He said the GO is doing it. He said, so what's the big deal? He said, have you been under GO's ministry before? He said, yes. Do you see how God power move? He said, so these things don't affect the power of God. He started with somebody. And unfortunately, we have forgotten that a pipe can carry water and the pipe is breaking. It won't leak instantly. But one day, the crack will reach inside and the glory will start leaking. That's when lust gives birth to sin. And sin gets pregnant and gives birth to death. If you see crack, heal the crack. Don't wait until the crack leaks inside. And ultimately, the glory you are carrying to reach others begin to leak. Don't wait till that time. Man is not our standard. God is our standard. The human standard for believers is Jesus, not a pastor. not the general overseer. As long as we have this flesh, we have contention to do. So we are possibly going to fall into mistakes, get into some blunders. But as long as a man of God particularly can turn the eyes of everybody under his care to Jesus, there will be no problem. If he falls, the people will help him rise, knowing fully well that is not their standard. Did I purify my heart and wash my hands? He did no sense for nothing. Move on, sir. For I am afflicted all day long and punished every morning. If I had decided to say these things aloud, I would have betrayed your people. Did you see the Y capital and the his in verse 3 capital? Move on, sir. If I now all of these thoughts crossing your mind, you can't say them out.